It's crazy how it's just been 10 months already, since I started my journey as a, pipe fitter apprentice in the union. And I just got to say that overall, it's just been a great experience. And to be honest with you guys, I actually do enjoy working in this trade. And for these past few months, of course, I've been learning a lot. And if some of you guys who are watching are new or, come across this channel, come across, this video, I am basically just documenting, my journey as an apprentice in the union as a pipe fitter. So of course, as I document my journey, I will give you guys an update once a month, and who knows, I'll continue to make more videos even after that. Alright guys, so let me give you guys a rundown of what happened on the month of March. As some of you guys might know, I've been in a hangar crew, basically going to this, this building has 9 floors, and from the from the basement level all the way to the 9th floor. Right now we're currently on the 4th floor. So me and my journeyman and separate crews go around to each floor, installing hangers, checking the height on the hangers, putting up condensate lines, making sure all those copper lines have pitch as well. And let me not forget to mention, of course, as time has gone by, I've gotten very proficient on, checking the height for the hangers, pitching the pipe, soldering it up. And of course, after all the pipe is up and, on the hangers, pitched and everything leveled, we go around checking from small sections of the floor. We go out there and test the pipe. By the way, we do our air test. We usually put the pipes at 30 PSI. And if we notice that on the gauge is dropping, we of course go around, test it out with some soap. And if there's a leak, it will start to bubble up. And of course, after, checking the whole, the pipes, and if there's some leaks, of course, we remove the pressure from the pipes and fix it. Something that I've been actually doing as well is labeling the pipe, labeling the condensate pipe, and of course, labeling the line sets. And when you go label these things, you have to make sure that the arrow is pointing the right direction. When I first started labeling, I thought it was going to take, half the day, maybe, up to my first break or, even second break. But no, considering all the amount, of pipes that they have on the floor, just itself by labeling these pipes and sections could just take a whole day. And there's ways to, put these labels on the pipe. So of course, if a pipe is going through a wall, you have to put the label when it comes to penetration. So label on this side of the wall and a label on this side of the wall. You also have to put labels and anytime the direction changes, like wherever you get 90s or 45s. And these labels have to be placed, of course, 10 feet apart. So of course, that is something new that I have been doing. Another thing I've been doing is, of course, still laying out. But this time I went all the way to the roof of this building. So I actually use a machine to do all the layout. So I set the machine somewhere over there in the corner of, the roof. The camera tells me where I'm going to put this, hanger for a pipe that's going to be hung just below the roof. And that was pretty awesome to do because first of all, it's a beautiful view up there. And it's something, I actually enjoy doing. It of course can be tedious at some times, but of course eventually I get the hang of it. And that is what I'm actually doing at work. And now let's move on to what I'm currently doing at school. And of course, as you guys know, I am taking, plumbing code. And that just basically comes down to, going through the code book with my classmates, reading through it, highlighting things that might be on the quiz, and of course, as weeks go on, we study and we have a quiz on the sections that we read. These sections could range, from what kind of P-traps, drain, waste, and vents, what kind of vertical piping and how much it will support on what kind of pipe, which is either cast iron, steel, Victolic, copper, and things like that. And of course, thankfully, I am keeping up with the grades in, plumbing code. And now let's move on to the other class, and the other class, of course, is welding. As you guys know, I started welding. Welding has been going on. It's been going pretty well, I gotta say. I am still, of course, currently welding, plates together to do, structural welding. I started off welding a flat surface, of course, getting my roots in and building up the bead as it goes. Vertically, I could say, you know, I did pretty well, but I switched things around and I decided to go vertically. That is where, to be honest with you guys, that's where it has been a challenge lately. I gotta be honest with you guys, you know, this is something that can be, what's that word? A little bit discouraging, because comparing my welds from going from flat to then moving to vertically, it is a whole different thing. I thought I was doing well on flat, but when I moved to vertical, it has been really challenging. Of course, for these past few weeks, I've just been going, you know, practicing on my vertical welding. Of course, I've gotten some of you guys' advice, and some of that advice is you just gotta slow down. And that's exactly what I've been doing. I decided to slow down a little bit. As I'm welding vertically, you know, I could see the puddle like flowing down. But of course, I know this is something you don't learn, you know, in a few weeks, in a few months. This is something that by time it builds up. Let me not forget to mention, of course, I am a first year apprentice. I have never done anything with welding, of course. I'm not gonna let this, you know, discourage me, because this is something that is built on. It's literally a process. I see this just as like driving. You're not gonna know everything when you first start the car and you've never ever in your life driven before. It just takes training and time. And most importantly, it takes patience. That's basically it, you know, for this update for the month of March. So let me give you guys a quick, summary. Of course, I was labeling pipe. So another thing I did was lay out, you know, the roof in this building for hanger supports that are gonna be holding, you know, Vic piping and, you know, other heavy type of pipe. And lastly, school related things. You know, I've been doing plumbing code, and now I switched to vertical welding and, you know, in class. Thank you guys so much for watching. You know, it really means a lot. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. But for right now, guys, have a blessed day.